Okay. So Git is a version control tool. So by end of this video, so you guys will understand why we should use it and why you all should set up Git. So what is version control and why should you care? Okay. So let me share my screen. Hmm. So my screen is visible, right? Hello,
Yes, yes.
it's visible. Okay. Great. So first is Git and GitHub. So Git is a version control tool where we use that, and before that we'll understand what is version control and why use version control system. Okay. So you guys are aware, like we are using codes, and in the code we will understand whatever the project we are using. That code should be shared with the team, and the team should use that code for the coding purpose. Okay, just 1 minute, guys. Fine. So it's visible, right? Hello.
Yes, yes, visible.
Hmm. So, so Git and GitHub, we'll first understand what is Git, and then we'll understand what is GitHub. So, mainly version control system. Actually, version control is known as the source control, where we use it for practice of tracking and managing the changes in the software code. So let's say we have a piece of software code and we want to change, and we want to understand when it is being changed and what time we want to change that. For keeping track to that code, we use version control. So version control systems are the software tools that help software teams to manage the changes to source code over the time. So let's say, like we use this tool, let's say we have a big team, like 5 to 10 members team. So we use this version control tool so that we understand what time the code is being changed. Let's say developer 1 has changed the code and developer 2 has changed the code. So we'll understand what time developer 1 has changed it. So we'll have another version number, what time developer 2 has changed it. So it's a different version number. So that's why version control is the system that record changes to the file or the set of file. Let's say Python file or Java code. Let's say we have .py file or any other YAML file. So if we are changing something, it keep tracks. So it is easier for us to understand what time which developer has changed what thing, so that it's better if, let's say, some code error is there, so the software breaks down. So it's easier, we can go to the previous version and we can recall that version, so that the error is resolved or something. Let's say some new code is pushed by a new developer and he don't know what is the system, so the system got crashed. So what will revert it by the previous version. So that's why you use version control system. So it allows you to revert the selected files back to the previous state. So it actually revert the entire project back to the previous state over the time. So we can see the last modified changes we have, and if there is any issue, so then we can resolve that issue. So there are many version control systems actually. Actually, type of version control systems according to the whatever the legacy previous times. We are using local version control systems. Then we got improved and we revised. We came to centralized version control systems. So now we are using distributed version control systems. So there are three types of version control systems. So I will explain what is local version control systems. Then I will explain what is centralized and what is distributed. So Git is a distributed version control system. Okay. And Git is free and open source. So that's why it is so popular. Okay. So I will come to the local version control system. So local version control system is a simple database that keeps the changes to the files under revision control. So one of the most popular version control, local version control system is RCS. So RCS is a, like, we are nowadays not using that. So some company, very small companies, they use that. So it's a database. You keep track your files, whatever changes you are doing, you store that file. Okay. And whenever you need a change, you can fetch that file, you change it, and you push it into that database. So you can recreate that file again. But what will happen? Let's say your server breaks down. So you cannot change anything. So that's the demerit of the local version control systems, because it depends on a single database and depends on a single server. So if there is any power cut, any power issue, that database down, so we cannot change anything. So every data is gone. Okay. So then for that purpose, to develop that version, we use a centralized version control system. Centralized version control system, we have two computers, we have a server, and there are, let's say, two databases. Okay. So one database is the master, another one is its slave. Okay. So whatever the changes we are doing it, we are doing it here also. So it were developed to collaborate with developers on other systems. So we have a single server that contains all the version file and a number of clients that check out the files. This is the client. Okay. So it's a, let's say we have the administrator is there who take care of that changes, and he keeps track of that whatever the new changes is being occurred, and it will give to the client the data, and client will understand. Let's say we are a developer, you work as a client, and whatever the changes you want, you can do it. But what is the demerit of this is, let's say our central database get corrupted. Okay. So there is no proper backup. So what client will do if the database is corrupt, right? So it is also a demerit. So that's the problem. So because of that, we have distributed version control system. So distributed version control system are Git, Mercurial, DAX. So these are so many, Bitbucket. There are so many version control systems nowadays. So previously centralized also, nowadays some people are using Subversion, Perforce. These are the companies who use centralized version control system, because they are still utilizing these things, because it has legacy system. So they don't want to share data to outside of their company. So they use this purpose. So in distributed version control system, clients don't just check out the latest snapshots, they fully mirror the repository. Okay. So let's say we have a computer. Okay. It is a server computer. Okay. So we get all those things. See, the version 123 is there. Here is also version 123. So we have another computer, all the entire thing. So we have another computer, another entire thing. So how many servers are there? That many versions are there, and that many databases are there. So that's why it's a distributed. We are entirely copying the entire repository or entire folder, entire system. Okay. So that's the distributed version control system. So if any server dies, these systems are collaborating via the server. So the client repositories can be copied back to the server to restore it. Okay. So whatever we are getting, that we are saving that in our client repository. Okay. So if the server is down also, we have the file. So we don't have to worry, because we get all the files. Okay, so whenever the server is up, we can again push that and we can save it in the server. Again, we can copy that patch or that snapshot, and again we can copy it to the client. Any new changes, we can push back, we can save it in the server, and we can get it to our local server. So that is the distributed version control system, and it is distributed in many. Let's say we have 10 developers, we have 10 copies. So there is no problem. Okay. So that's why we have master branch, and these all branches are there, which we will discuss later. But these all, I'm just explaining how we are using distributed version control systems. Okay. So having several remote repositories, they can work with, so you can collaborate with different groups of people in different ways simultaneously within the same project. So this allows you to set up several types. Okay. So then these are the top version control systems which are being used in the companies: GitHub, GitLab, Elastic Beanstalk. Elastic Beanstalk is AWS. This is AWS version control system. Perforce, Subversion, AWS Code Commit is another version control we use. And this is Microsoft Visual Studio Team Foundation Server. This is another version control system. Mercurial, CVS, Bitbucket. So these are the 10 popular version control system which we use. Mostly you can find in any company you'll join. This is the must out of these 10 we are using. 90% of the companies use this. Okay. So now we'll understand what is source code management. So source code management is any project we are building. So we have the source code. First, we need the code to build a new project. So that we called source code. So source code management is used to track modifications to a source code repository. Okay. So source code management tracks a running history of the changes to the code base. It also helps resolve the conflicts when merging updates or multiple contributors are using. And source code management also equal to the version control. Okay. So we call it either version control. We can also call it source code management. It depends on the language to language. People use different ways. So a software projects grow in lines of code and contributor headcount. So the cost of the communication overhead and management complexity also grow. So source code management is a critical tool to organize the things. Okay. To constrain the growing development cost. Okay. So what are the best practices of source code management? We got commit often. Whenever we are changing any code, we should commit every time. Okay. So whenever you are working, you should always use on the latest version. So whenever we are pushing a code, we get the version number, version 1, 1.1, 2.2. So we should always use the latest version of the code. Make a detailed notes. So whatever the commits you are pushing, you should give the message properly. So that is the thing we should get the best practice. What is these all things I will explain when we are doing the practical also, but here I'm just explaining in the theoretical way. So review changes before committing. So whenever you are doing any commit after change code, you can review the changes. Okay. So if I'm doing the correct thing, things are being whatever my local I have been tested, it's the correct while pushing the code to the server. And use the branches. Always use the feature branch. We'll discuss it later. What is the feature branch? What is master branch? So always use feature branch because master branch is for the main thing, main server. So always use feature branch. Agree on a workflow. So whatever the workflow any company is using, they should agree on a workflow. Like we have a development server, we have a production server. So every time whatever the production server we are using prod branch, or we should use the main branch. So that should be decided previously the project started. So whenever the project start, before that we should agree on a workflow. Let's say every code uh, should be stored in the master branch before the release, and whatever the changes, it should be changed in the develop branch, and any new change, it should be developed in the feature branch. Okay. And QA branch is other where the testing thing is occurring. So these all workflows should be pre-decided so that there should not be any confusion and the workflow should not be very complicated. So everyone should follow that workflow. So these are all things we will discuss later. So these are the main things we should always remember whenever we work in an organization. Commit often, ensure you are working with the latest version, make detailed notes whenever you are pushing any changes, any code you are doing the change, review the changes before committing. Whenever you are doing the commit, before that, review that commit, and use branch. Every time use a new branch. Don't use the master branch or main branch or any existed branch. Always you are doing any changes, create a branch, do the changes, then you can push it and you can review it with your superior or in your architect and all. Then you can merge it. Don't use any existing branches, and agree on a workflow. So whatever the workflow, you should understand, discuss with the manager or project manager before doing the work. What is the workflow? So you should understand. So you should not deviate from the workflow, like they are using the master branch for production, or they are using develop branch for production, or they are using develop branch for development, or QA branch, it's a separate branch, or they are only using develop branch for QA and develop. All these things you should understand. So then you start working. Then is the basic thing. We'll understand what is Git and why is it important. So Git is a tool used for source code management. So we understand what is source code management, how source code management done in the company or in the project software company. So Git is a tool used for source code management. It is a free and it is open source. Means we don't charge anything, and it's used by all in any open source. Means it can be used in the Linux, it can be used in the Windows, it can be used in Mac OS, any operating system or any environment we can use Git. And it is a distributed version control system. As I explained, Git is a distributed version control system used to handle small to very large projects efficiently. So we can use small project also, very large projects also. So Git is used to tracking changes in the source code, enabling multiple developers to work together. Okay. So it is used to track the changes. Whenever we are doing any code changes, we can track it, and it will enable the developers to work together. So it is very important as it track changes effortlessly and manage code history, makes it an indispensable tool for developers and projects. Okay, so Git enables users to push their code changes to GitHub and pull code from GitHub repositories, allowing seamless collaboration and version management among developers. So we'll understand what is Git. Now we understood what is Git. Now we'll understand what is GitHub, and we'll explain what is the difference between Git and GitHub. So Git enables the users to push the code, that is changes, to the GitHub and pull the code from the GitHub. So in this way, Git work. So Git is a tool, GitHub is a repository. Okay. So what is the difference? Git is a tool used for source code management. It is free open source version control used to handle small to very large projects efficiently. Git is used to track changes in the source code. Well, GitHub is a web-based platform that provides hosting for version control using Git. Okay. So GitHub is very popular platform. Developers share and collaborate their projects, and they also used for hosting open source projects. Like nowadays, GitHub is used as a open source media. Means the people are sharing their codes, like LinkedIn. We are using, it's a social media platform. Also, we use as GitHub because so many developers and so many UI people share their codes, and they share in the company also. So now GitHub is used as a web-based platform. Okay. So now, before this, I will difference between main branch and master branch. I will go to how to how to uh, download the Git and how to deploy the Git thing. Okay. So let me explain that. Okay. So okay. So now I will understand Git download. Okay. So if I will search here Git download, so Git download, you will click here, you will first page, you will get Git, and you will click on download, and here you will understand the operating system you want to download, Mac OS or Linux or Windows. Let's say I am using Windows, so I'll click on Windows. So you will see your version 32-bit or 64-bit. You can download it. Okay, so you'll click on this 64-bit. Let's say I'm using 64-bit. If you'll click this, so it will get downloaded. So after that you can install it. Okay, so my system, I have already downloaded Git. So once it is downloaded and installed, you will get in your system Git is being downloaded. See, I have Git bash here. So Git bash is there, so you can open it. So see, once Git is downloaded, you will have Git bash in place in your system. Okay, so here Git version. So Git version 2.41.0 is being downloaded in your system. Okay, so I have downloaded the Git version now. Just recently downloaded, right? So this is the Git have been downloaded. If I'll click on that, it will install. It's very easier. Okay, according to your system, you can download it and you can use it. Okay, this is the Git bash. Okay, so you have Git bash in place, so you can use now Git. Okay, so then we'll go to our next slide, which is difference between main branch and master branch. So by default, GitHub uses the master for primary version of a source code repository. So developers make copies of the master on their computers, into which they add their own code and then merge the changes back into the master repo. Okay. So GitHub, whenever you are using, primary thing is master it use for the version of the source code repository. Okay, so developers copy that master file and they add them to the computer and they use it as their own code. So GitHub changed the master to main as part of the company's effort to remove unnecessary references to slavery and replace them with more inclusive terms. So nowadays, what it is doing, master is being changed to main, because nowadays no one is using master as a branch, they're using main as a branch. So it has done the recent changes. So bottom line, they wanted to get rid of unpleasant term master. So technically it's still the same, still get, if you will do, you'll get the master as a branch, but you can rename it. Okay, so that's not an issue. See, so now we'll see this thing, how we will use Git and what is being used as a Git thing. Okay, so I will create a folder. So this is my source code repository. Okay, so let's say this is a new project. Okay, let's say I will create a directory git project. Okay, so ls git project is there. I will go to cd git project ls. Okay, so now I am inside a folder where I wanted to understand the Git project and all. So anything you are doing, okay, once you are initializing the Git, you should use Git init, okay, because you are initializing the repository. See, once I have initialized the Git, you will get master, right? As you told, so there is not main branch, so Git has a by default master, so you can rename it as main later on. Okay, so first whenever you initialize the Git, you will get the master branch. Okay, so now our Git, we can use Git commands and all because we have initialized the Git. Okay, so let's say there is no file, but if we will do ls-la, so whatever the hidden files are there, we can see Git folder has been created, right? So let's say if I will go back, I'm in the new project. Okay, So nothing is there, Git project is there. But if I will do ls-la, okay, so there are total 4 projects. But here the master branch is not available. We cannot do any changes. We cannot use Git here. Okay. Because .git folder should get created whenever we are pushing any code or pulling any code. So this should be present. Always remember whenever you are utilizing Git. So if your code is not being pushed on anyway, your Git is not working, you should always see ls-la and see .git folder is present or not. Okay, by hidden, or in Windows we can see by the hidden thing. So here .git project is not there, .git folder is not there, so we cannot do any git command or any git related thing. So we have to go to git hyphen project. Okay, so here you can see we are in the master branch. Okay, so let's say we are creating a file. Okay, so we'll go to slide. So let's say we are initialize the git. Okay, so now in the ls.git, whenever we are utilizing ls.git. Okay, so guys, yeah, previously I have not explained that this is I'm using VS Code. Okay, so VS Code editor is a code editor you can use instead of Git Bash also. If you can use Git Bash, fine, but I am comfortable with VS Code because here the features are more clear. You can see the files, whatever files you are utilizing, you can change, you can get the notifications if any changes is being there, or in modification you are doing anything wrong, it will give the suggestion. So it's easier. So that's why it's also easier to download VS Code. You can download VS Code download. You can download the VS Code as same as Git. Okay, so it's a code editor, Windows, Linux, Mac. You can do that and you can use it because it's a multi-project. You can see I'm using Bash, but you can use PowerShell. You can use Python. You can use anything, JavaScript, anything you can using. You can use the VS Code thing. Okay. So this is the thing where we can use as a VS Code. So let's say I am using a file VM plus VM test.sh. Okay, so I have created a file and there I have it is my first shell script. Okay, so I've just entered a shell script. You can use anything. Uh, mm, mm, yeah, fine. So it is being saved. Now you can see test.sh being created. Okay. So if we are doing, okay, so let's say we have done some changes and uh, we are doing some, before that, I will just explain you what is the .git. So let's say we'll go to cd.git. Okay. So these are by default thing which has been created once you initialize the Git project. Git init, config, description, head, hooks, info, objects, and refs. Whenever we are initializing these are by default thing, and this has some explanation why it is being created. So description file is used only by Git web program. Whenever you have web program, like you are pushing to the GitHub, use description. Config file contains your project specific configuration options. Okay, so whenever you are changing anything, config has the details. Okay, and we have .git ignore file also. Whenever you use git, we have .git ignore file. The info directory, what will happen, it will keep tracks whatever not in git .git ignore. .git ignore saves the file, okay, which it tracks and which is understand for the project. But if something we are pushing and it's not important for the project, .git ignore not will not save it. It will be saved by info directory. Okay, hooks directory contains the client server hook scripts. So whenever the hook commits or something we are doing it, it save that. Objects directory store all the content. Whatever the database we have, objects has everything. Okay, reference directory stores pointers into commit objects, that is branches, tags, remotes. We'll all explain, like we'll read all this. So head file points to the branch you currently have checked out. Okay, so head file is the it is the important thing, head file. So whenever we are pushing any code, we have to be in the head file. So head file should be present and it should be in the correct format. So then only we should work in proper way. So we'll understand what is head file in the later. Okay, so this is just basic thing. Git, whatever git folder contents and why we are using this. Okay, so after that, let's say this is the VM test.sh which I have been created here. So let's say I am going out from here. Okay, so here let's say if I will see git status, I will see I have created a untracked files get.test.sh. Okay, so whenever there is nothing added to commit but untracked files present, so git is giving us the command. Okay, whatever we have changed. So in master branch we are in this status. So let's say if we will do git add. Okay, in the working copy of test as lf will be replaced by crlf. Okay, so what we have did the changes. Okay, so now if we will do git status, see, now this is being changed. We have done git add. So changes is to be committed. We have not committed this. We have only created and we have added this to our git. Okay, so if we will do git commit, we have to type a message. First git command. Okay, so we have done the changes. Okay, so it is being inserted into the master. Okay, so let's say if we'll do git status, see, nothing to commit, working tree clean. So we don't have anything to commit. Okay, so now we are in the, these all things we should understand before doing any changes. Git status will check whatever the new files to be committed or untracked files. Then we'll do git add, okay, to add that file. Okay, then we'll do git commit to commit that. Okay, git add being added to our staging directory. Git commit is it's being committed. So nothing to be done. So then we'll see git log. When we'll see git log, we'll see our details. The commit, our commit is done in the head master. We have the commit ID. Okay, we have the author. I have done it, Biswajit Azure, Azure DevOps. Okay, first git command. Okay, so these all things has been done. Okay, and this has been changed and it has been pushed. Okay, so let's say we have git diff. Okay, so now there is no difference if there is any changes, okay, in the current file. Okay, let's say vi test.sh. Okay, I will do some changes, doing changes. Okay, So whenever I'm doing any changes, so let's say if we will do git diff, see, so difference it is showing. Whatever the difference previous file was there when working was clean, and now what the changes is there. So diff is get a test.sh index. Okay. The test.sh has been changed. Okay. It is my first shell script and one new line has been added. See, it's a green color plus doing changes. So it will show the details in the git status. We'll see what is being changed, but in the git diff we'll see the details, which file it is being changed, what is the new thing being changed, everything it will show. Okay, like it was only showing what is to be committed, but here what the line by line thing is being changed, it is also showing that. Okay, so if you want to detail thing of the code or whatever the new piece of code being changed, you can use git diff command. Okay, let's say you have a Java code or you have a .NET code, you want to see in which line it is being changed, you can use git diff command and what is being changed, so that you can verify and you can check that later. Okay, so here I will do git log. In git log you cannot see anything. Now whatever the push or commit has been done, that only being shown in the git log. Okay, see, now we'll do git status. See, there is modified test sh. Okay, so we have to do git add, we have to do git commit, and let's say second change. Okay, so this is being changed. Okay, so now we'll see, you can see git log. In git log you can see there are two commits. This is the first commit, first git command, this is the second change. Okay, so in the git log you can